welcome to What the Why with Barbara Ann. If you haven't seen us before, our show features conversations with diverse leaders from all walks of life about why they do what they do and how they figured things out. Maybe you're sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, or you feel stuck and you want to get unstuck in your business, your job, or your life. All of our guests have something in common with you. At some point in their lives, they felt similarly, and today is no exception. Please join me in welcoming Apolonia Galie, known as Pola to me, brewer at Lower Forge Brewery. In addition, she wears many hats. She's principal or owner and weaver at Webmaven, New Jersey, and she's a co-founder at Galie Media. So welcome the many Polas to our show.
Thank you, Barbara. It's so good to see you.
So Lower Forge Brewery, which is one of my new favorite places to go, is located in Medford, New Jersey at 14 South Main Street. So if you are watching from across the country and you happen to come into New Jersey, you're going to have to check it out. Lower Forge Brewery sustainably brews a unique variety of craft beers and gluten-free hard seltzers. Yay! From their small, I used to know, I didn't even know it was a thing until recently, but you've heard of breweries, you've heard of microbreweries. They're a nano brewery. But in addition to their offerings, they have trivia nights, karaoke, open mic nights. They do fundraisers for area groups. They have other kinds of themed events. And in addition, one of the requirements by New Jersey law, which is really interesting, is if you want you have to get a behind-the-scenes tour of the facility as part of the brewery experience. So, state, if you're watching, they are complying. I know, I was there. Importantly, all of their recipes are brewed with local ingredients that are sustainably sourced and discarded or recycled sustainably, including the gluten-free options for people like me. I actually had a frozen hard seltzer that was incredible. And I'm not the only one who thinks that. They're very highly rated on multiple platforms. They've got a 4.4 out of 5 on Google/Facebook with almost 700 reviews. They've been recognized for 7 years as one of the brewery winners in Burlington County Times Community Choice Awards. In addition to that, Pola has been and continues to be involved in nature conservation and sustainability advocacy, as well as responsible use of New Jersey's natural resources. She's been doing that for years. Being part of a family-owned Main Street business allows for a lot of opportunity for growth and learning. And I'm finding, as I was educated by her, she's emerged as a very active voice for such businesses and others in the nano brewery and microbrewery industries in a state that is incredibly and sometimes ridiculously regulated. Pola's other roles include Galie Media, a full-service web design and support company which she co-founded back in 1995, a couple years after leaving LaSalle University. And in addition to that, I mentioned that she's the principal and owner and weaver at Webmaven, New Jersey, although running a brewery takes up a lot of time. It's a knitting and really a weaving company that she created in 2007. Through which she weaves and sells traditional archery gear, custom arrows, Flemish bowstrings, and more. So right now you're seeing some pictures from the brewery. And yes, the drinks really are as good as they look and taste even better. So suffice to say, I'm really excited. See, I'm looking at the beverages, and now I just want to go get one of those little frozen ones.
Your mouth starts to water.
We've been trying to get Pola together. When you run a brewery, you don't get a lot of time, and so actually it works out that she's zooming in because we're going to get to see a little bit of the brewery itself. So without further ado, please welcome Apolonia Galie, aka Pola, to our show. So round of applause. So hi. So I just ran through, back to last week's episode was a little bit different. This week's episode, we're coming back into our more normal format. After I ran down that list of all of those really cool things that you've done and do, I usually point out to our guests, I don't know that that's what you thought you were going to be doing when you grew up. So when Apolonia, aka Pola, was little, what did you want to be when you were growing up?
When I was growing up, I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. And I often say there's still time when I give you tours and I'm answering questions and I'm talking to people from behind the bar. I hope I get a little funny sometimes.
Oh, no doubt. No, you've got an amazing sense of humor and ability to connect with people. So how did you go from wanting to be a stand-up comedian? It's going to be a shorter path now, but how did you get from stand-up comedian to, web person to weaver to brewer?
So of course, when you first are a teenager or a young person, you think one thing, and then as you grow up and you get some independence, you realize the bills have to be paid.
Yes.
So I started out with a banking job with First Pennsylvania Bank, and I worked in administration for many years. I worked in healthcare for 23 years, starting to make baskets and learning how to weave from Mary Cardy in Mount Holly. It's a sanity. It's not only something you can do that's productive, it's something you can do and make gifts and make things that are useful and saleable. Mm-hmm. It's also very calming to have that repetitious motion, be able to do something that cannot be done by a machine. Mm-hmm. Baskets can only be made by someone's hands, and that has appealed to me over the years. So I can start and stop when I get a little bit of time. I love to weave. I'm addicted to weaving. And, it's just a nice complement to all the other things that I do.
Mm-hmm. So how did you decide to open Lower Forge Brewery?
So being a single mother most of my son's life, we always, after he turned 21, there was something we used to, when we had to talk, we did it over food, a little booze, and cigars, because I was both mother and father. Mm-hmm. It was his idea to open a brewery. He had been brewing beer for stress relief. My son Sean is a firefighter EMT. Okay. So he'd been having a good time. I had not previously been a beer drinker until he started to brew. And there was one famous night when I looked at him when I said, "How's it going with opening the brewery?" And my next question was, "Well, how can I help? I can cook. I love to cook." Mm-hmm. And he laughed, and we started brewing beer together. And really, when you think about the history of beer over the centuries, not mm-hmm. in recent history, but the long term, women had a very strong role in making beer for the family, beer for the community. They used what was sustainable because they didn't want to run out. There was a lot of diversity in flavors and tastes. And I think that with women coming back in the craft beer movement, that's a big part of it. Mm-hmm. I know it's a big thing that attracts me.
Yeah, I didn't realize that women had played that kind of a role in the overall movement towards the craft beers. So you decide that you're going to go into this, and your son mm-hmm. and you're going to support him. That's a really bold move.
Well, he wasn't going to make beer and have fun making alcohol without me. He was not leaving me behind.
Okay.
And I think, I haven't checked recently, but the National Brewers Association a few years ago said there's a number of mother-son, son-mother teams throughout the nation, but apparently I am the only one that's on the brew house floor picking up sacks of grain and cooking and carbonating and doing all those different things. Most of the other mothers stick to sales and human resources.
So you're right there on the front lines working with them, which
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I can believe that. I can totally believe that. Plus, I got to see you in action. I mean, when we were there, you were right in there with everybody, the servant leader that you are.
It keeps my brain stimulated.
Yeah. But, especially in New Jersey, which is a really highly regulated state, how did you find the courage? I mean, because I know that there's been challenges for everyone that's in this industry in the state of New Jersey in particular.
There are definitely challenges, and the challenges have changed in different years. But because of a job that I had in the past with another company, I actually did liquor licensing for state parks and airports throughout the country.
Okay.
And we can complain all we want, and it is difficult. I always say we have as much fun as the state allows us, but every state has something. They're not all, they don't all have it easy. They just have it different. So New Jersey is the state that I love. I grow where I'm planted. My family, my grandchildren are here. So I hope that they tell me what song is playing so I can dance to the tune and not change it too often. But it is difficult. We're going through a very difficult time right now with not knowing what's happening. A law has been passed that would be very positively supportive of breweries, and I don't see any movement from the governor to sign it. So there's going to be a little bit of discomfort and confusion for a while.
And I want to talk a little bit more about that, because I believe that law was passed, if not unanimously, it was pretty close.
It was unanimous.
It was unanimous in both houses, yeah. So, all right, believe it or not, it's time for a break. So we're going to come back after this brief commercial break for more with Paula and Lower Forge Brewery. Welcome back to What the Why with Barbara Ann and today's very special guest, Paula Galie, who's one of the brewers at the Lower Forge Brewery, which she works with in partnership with her son. And right before the break, we were talking about the fact that the state of New Jersey actually has, in both houses unanimously, so both parties got together and actually agreed on something unanimously that would really support the brewery industry in the state. But right now, it's still awaiting the governor's signature, so there's a little bit of uncertainty with that. In addition to the uncertainty, what would you say are some of your biggest learnings from having gone through this experience of moving forward in this industry?
So we knew, based on the law in 2012 that allowed tasting rooms to happen, what the restrictions were going to be. And the biggest restrictions were that there would be a tour every time before someone was served. Even if they were here the day before, the next day they had to have another tour. And that we would not be allowed to make and serve any food, but that people would be allowed to bring in food or have it delivered. And we thought that looking at the law, it was pretty good. Then as breweries started to increase, there started to be, let's just say, tension between some other industries. And then the state came in and said, well, wait, we never said you could do other things. We never said you could do music or do other events. So then they started to limit us on what we were allowed to do. And there were some changes. I mean, at one point, they even talked about the fact that people were not going to be allowed to accept their food deliveries inside. They were going to have to go outside, pay for it, and then bring the food in.
Wow.
But I believe that the Attorney General at that time said, let's not make it any more difficult for people who are imbibing in alcohol to have food because the breweries can't make it.
Yeah, because yes, that was a good call on the Attorney General's part, because you really don't need a bunch of people drinking on an empty stomach.
Playing field from what you thought you were doing when you put your business plan together, and you had to submit when you're getting your license application, you had to submit your business plan, which ours included being an artist incubator for music and for art, and to have pop-up shops and different things that were here. And that was one of the things that happened with the restrictions, is we were no longer allowed to have pop-up shops, and that our events were limited to 25 for the brewery, but they did allow a number of private parties. It just made it an uneven landscape that was a little uncomfortable, because you want to do well. And you want to have a good business, and because we're hospitality, you want people to have a good time, but you also had to be extremely cautious.
And even with all of that, you're doing so well. I mean, people love you. Your reviews are fantastic. So what is it that makes, and
Barbara, I think
Go
I think
ahead.
that's because we love and care about them, and that makes a big difference. And you mentioned our gluten-free. It was
Yes.
very important to us, and we've been working for a long time to make an all-grain gluten-free beer for our customers and family members who have celiac or intolerances. But it's just so expensive.
Yeah.
That's why we went to the hard seltzer so that we could accommodate that population.
Yeah. Oh, I was super excited because not in my case, not only do I have to do gluten free, but I also can't have sugar. So I have a range of issues. And the frozen hard seltzer that I had, that was, I guess, cranberry based, so it was low sugar, I was actually able to sit there and consume a drink with like my family and enjoy it and not have to worry about any kind of post-drink reaction in a really nice environment. I like didn't have to worry about inflammation or anything else, so it was awesome. And obviously others agree. And so it's interesting because one of my question was going to be, what do you think what makes you different from the other locations? And I think you just hit on it.
Yeah, we have a wide variety. You know, there's people that come in, like over this past weekend, our one lonely IPA kicked. And there's always a couple of people that are like, what? You don't have an IPA? Are you crazy? And then other people will come in and say they want a variety. They want hard seltzers. They want some beers that are lighter in alcohol. They want fruity ones. They want dark ones. So we're small. As you said in the beginning, we're only a 3-barrel brewery, which means we make 100 gallons at a time. But we usually have 8 to 10 on tap that are all over the beer map and the hard seltzer map.
Awesome, awesome. And I guess if you could talk a little bit about some of the things that you do. I mean, I mentioned that you have special fun nights and events. I know you're limited, but you still have them. And from what I understand, they're pretty popular.
We're limited in the events that we sponsor,
right?
But then we have some extras that other people can do. So if it's a private party, sometimes our private parties are on nights we open. We will open for a private party, but most of our fundraisers are actually things that are organized by someone else. So it's not ours, even though we've partnered with it. Like the Firemen's Union and their Sean Anderson Foundation. That was something that they wanted to do. And with Sean being a fireman, we were like, oh, yes. You know, and we made a hard seltzer and a beer that will continue to raise funds for them even now. I mean, when we wanted to open, we wanted to be more like the breweries of the Revolutionary War period, without fomenting rebuilds. We wanted to be a community center, someplace where people could come, they could relax. We consider ourselves a third space. So we're not home, we're not work, we're someplace that you can come, relax, you know, just kind of decompress for a little bit, make sure that you get home safe and come back again. I mean, that's how we see ourselves. So we really are involved. My daughter-in-law, Abby, is on the board of directors for downtown New Jersey, for the Main Street Merchants Association. I'm on the environmental committee in the green team. We all participate in the trade associations, and I participate in the Open Trails New Jersey and the State Federation of Sportsmen's Club. I mean, these are grassroots organizations that care about the environment, wildlife, and the state of New Jersey's resources. And being a grandmother, well, I want my grandkids to have the same privileges and you know, the same privileges and the availability to recreate that I do.
Yeah. And I do want to talk about your volunteerism because you have and still do. You mentioned just a couple of things there. But even your sustainability initiatives, I mean, the spent grain that you use, I think one of the pictures that we put up, I mean, even that is dealt with in a sustainable way. In terms of reuse.
Even from home brewing, we've never put our spent grain in the landfill. We've always recycled it as animal feed or for composting. Beer making is an extremely resource-intense business. We use a lot of water, we use a lot of carbon dioxide. We're fermentation, so we're producing a lot of carbon dioxide. When we're cleaning, we're disposing of cleaning chemicals. So these things are very important to be aware of. And I'm very fortunate in that we have about 4 farms that I call on a rotating basis, especially during the summer because the grain is wet, so it'll spoil very quickly. So when I brew or Sean brews, we call the next person on the list and say, hey, we're going to take the grain out tomorrow. Can you come get it? If the answer is yes, great. If the answer is no, we go to the next person on the list. But we always are able to find somebody to come and get the grain and to use it and to not have it go to waste. And the same way with some of the fruits that we use, I will take them out. It's a little more work to do, but I will take them out and I will compost them because so the grain is prior to it becoming alcohol and prior to having the hops added to it. So that's safe for any animal. Once it's had the hops in it, you can't have it available to canines. And, of course, once there's alcohol in it, you want the alcohol to dissipate. So I usually just compost that.
Awesome. So if there's somebody out there that's thinking about pursuing this business, what do you wish you knew pursuing this or even going into any type of a business, especially a Main Street business? Because Main Streets, there's a reason why there's special initiatives to make sure that we maintain and create environments for Main Streets to thrive. So what would you wish you had known that you would be, want to share with somebody else?
My family really wanted to be on the Main Street because we felt this was the heart of Medford Village, the heart of Medford. When we first leased the property that we're in, and I walked from my home a few blocks away to the brewery, there were 13 empty storefronts on the first floor on our Main Street.
Yeah.
There are none today.
Wow.
And that's the difference between 2014 and 2023. So I think that if I had known then the changes that might come, I didn't anticipate the struggle for foot traffic. Because we have a business here that you can't ship alcohol. You have to you are allowed to deliver in New Jersey with special permits. But you really need people to come in. They either have to come into your brewery and get to like it and ask for it at a bar or restaurant to be able to get on tap. You really need that personal connection. It's not like they can see an ad on TikTok and the next thing you know, you're selling a bunch of beer.
Yeah.
There has to be that personal connection, and there has to be, and I always say to people, every brewery has a different personality. This is ours. But you could go into another brewery and have a completely different personality and still be great and still be fun and just be different. That's part of, I think, their popularity. But I didn't realize back in 2013 when we signed the lease, all of the obstacles that were going to come our way before we got open.
Wow. And yet you persevered. And again, I mean, outstanding reviews and a changing landscape, and all while you're also still engaging in conservation and local sourcing and recycling and composting to the extent possible. So kudos for all of that. Believe it or not, we're at time. So we've mentioned over and over again that you are available at 14 Main Street in Medford. But how can somebody find you, whether it's on social media or whatever? How would they find you?
So we have a very strong Instagram presence as well as a Facebook presence, Lower Forge Brewery. And we also, www.lowerforge.com, you can link out to any of our other social media. And I'm always happy to answer questions. I love to talk about the history of brewing and how it connects with conservation, including clean water, clean air, and clean lands, because that's what we need to exist in the future.
Fantastic. And you can see, I mean, like I said, you have to go on the tour anyway, so you can actually see everything. It's right there on the other side of glass windows, and you can go check it out for yourself. So thank you so much. As you can see from her background, that's not just any background, that's the actual bar, so, or the, excuse me, the Nano Brewery. So you can go check it out. And what was the one I had? It was a frozen cranberry hard seltzer something or other. I don't
Yes.
remember.
So we have a frozen slushy machine
Yes.
that we put our beers and our seltzers through, depending on our mood. You had the wild berry and
Yes.
cranberry one.
Yes.
And we had lychee and blue raspberry for 4th of July.
Oh, okay. So we'll have to be back soon. So thank you again for being a guest today, and I'll see you again soon.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you inviting me and everything that you do, Barbara, because I think it's important to recognize these women.
Absolutely. So thank you again. So, okay. And regarding our upcoming episodes, as I mentioned last week, and we'll mention again, we have some really exciting guests lined up. I'm not going to butcher names, and I'm not going to announce them because we want to be a little bit more fluid as schedules fluctuate with summer vacations. But please believe me when I say that you really don't want to miss what any of our future guests have to say about their journeys. And if you've missed any of our past guests and you want to check out what they had to say, you can also catch all of season 1 as well as season 2 to date on demand on the What the Why page of RVN Television's website, as well as Roku. And as a reminder, What the Why airs on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, for those of you who are watching who are in our audience on the West Coast or in states where you don't have Daylight Savings Time anymore. We also air at 3:30 p.m. on Mondays, Eastern Daylight Time. And as I mentioned, it's available, our show's available on demand at rvntelevision.com as well as Roku and other platforms. And whether you're looking to make changes in your life, whether big or small, please join us again for more inspirational, illuminating, and informative conversations with leaders such as Paula, who overcame whatever seemingly insurmountable challenges laid in her path and the path of her son, to pursue what they knew was what they were meant to do and find their purpose and live it.